gun deal upstate tonight. Guns?
Maybe you need to reevaluate your relationship with your family.
This cop is on my ass. He'll do anything to frame me.
Detective Whitman, she sent me here to lie to you.
So as we approach Ghost Season 3, Episode 4, we're really in a good place where we've been given the foundation to where every character stands, what their intentions are and where their loyalties lie, apart from maybe one or two. As always in this game, there will be twists and turns, betrayals and new problems. For example, I don't think any of the crew would have imagined Lauren to be alive, and she's someone who's back in Episode 4. A big aspect this season is also how law enforcement are keeping close tabs on not just Tariq St Patrick, but all the Tejadas, Davis McLean and Effie, as well as Braden. Both of them also find themselves on the investigation board, as well as Rashad Tate. Now there's no way of telling who's going to go down, but surely at some point law enforcement have to get a win. I mean, there's all these murders like RICO, DC Joe, the Contractor, Mecca and the Guaps. But we have to remember this is power and law enforcement are always lacking. But for some reason I do have a different feeling this season, but let's just wait and see, because I'm sure Monet and Diana have something planned for Detective Whitman. So as usual, we're going to run through a breakdown of the latest teasers and images, as well as an interview quote from Michael Rennie Jr. on his relationship with Ghost for Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3, Episode 4. Now the title of Episode 4 is A Land of Opportunity, and the synopsis reads, the Tejadas and Davis discuss how they're going to handle Whitman. Drew sets up a risky deal with the help of a family friend. Meanwhile, the RICO team gets the lead, and Diana is encouraged to break ties with the family. Now based on the synopsis, I really do think the exclusive images match perfectly. The Tejadas are in a meeting, but with one key player missing. Diana I'm going to come to in just a moment, but with these four, the dynamic is completely altered. Each one of these characters seem to be fighting their own battles, but one thing they haven't done yet is come together as a family and sat down to work together. Kane is someone who's using the Zeke secret to gain leverage over Lorenzo. Drew seems to be distracted with other men. Monet has the issue of Detective Whitman. Meanwhile, Diana feels like she's on the outs with her family. With Lorenzo, the walls are definitely closing in, and it's only a matter of time before Diana and Drew find out what Kane knows. Diana at Mecca's penthouse looked at Lorenzo when Kane was calling the shots, in a way where she was saying, aren't you gonna say anything? And I think she was taken aback by this, because normally Lorenzo, he's the leader, he's the father, and this is the person Diana looks up to. Later on in the same episode, we also saw Drew saying there's some weird shit going on between the two. Mary J. Blige also teased in an interview prior to Season 3. Everybody knows the secret besides Monet, and I think that's the territory we're gonna enter in, everybody knowing about the secret apart from Monet. Now Diana's not been with the Tejadas much this season, but we have seen Kane and Lorenzo come to Stansfield for two very different reasons. Kane came and gave Diana money in a way to look after his baby sister, whereas Lorenzo, out of desperation, gave her a bag of product and asked her for help. She's also going to have Salim in her ear telling her that she needs to rethink her relationship with her family, who I still think she needs to be careful of, by the way. But regardless of what game Salim is playing, this is the wrong time for Diana to be switching sides. Detective Whitman is on Monet, and that's not good for any of them. So for the first time in Season 3, we're actually going to see Monet and Diana having a somewhat civilized conversation, one where Monet is going to ask for Diana's help. She knows they need to do something about Whitman, so she's going to come up with a plan to either take him down or send him down the wrong direction. Earlier in the week, I broke down how Monet's been mentoring and nurturing Diana throughout Seasons 1 and 2, and I think we're going to see that come into play. But how long we see Monet and Diana teaming up, I'm not sure it's going to last long at all, especially when Lorenzo catches a hot one. So as we speak about catching hot ones and guns, Tariq and the rest of the crew are going to have to move some weapons, and they really have no other choice. So we're going to see this exchange of weapons with Drew with a gun in hand, and the same for Lorenzo. So shit is going to go sideways pretty quick. But where did Blanca Rodriguez get the lead from that there was going to be a gun deal? That's something I want to know, because she's going to be all over this. Blanca Rodriguez and law enforcement are hell-bent on nailing this entire drug enterprise, but they can't do so without any solid evidence, which is something Sax doesn't have either. Jenny seems to be unimpressed with what Sax is showing her, which seems to be a picture of what he took probably of Davis, Monet, and Tariq St Patrick, because what good's a picture without information? So Jenny will probably ask for more. Whether Sax tells her that Theo is Davis's brother is yet to be seen, because that is information that Sax now knows, but he does hold all the cards which could land Davis in a whole lot of bother. Now sticking with Jenny just for a moment, we're also going to see her in a conversation with Lauren, but the last time we saw Lauren, she seemed like she'd had enough of faking her death.
The internet, but look, I need to see my parents. Or a phone call. Jenny, seriously, anything, please.
Let's not get it twisted, being locked up for 3 months with no access to anything would be a pretty rough ordeal for anyone, especially after you've just survived another murder attempt. But I'm hoping this isn't a storyline which drags on till the end of Season 3, which I don't think it will because Ghost normally does move at a very quick pace. Although something that is definitely taking a bit of time is Kane getting with Effie. We all know that Kane's been trying since Season 2, and he's been pressing them buttons and he's going to continue to press them. Whether Effie bites is another question entirely, but let's not forget at the end of episode 3, Kane did call Effie and he wanted to talk to her after he found out Brayden didn't kill the Russian or Lauren, and I think he probably knows it was Effie, so maybe he wants to make sure Lauren is actually dead, but they are going to be in for one hell of a shock when they find out she isn't. But moving on to Tariq, this is what Michael Rainey Jr. had to say on him being similar to Ghost. Ghost is like the biggest obstacle in his life. This season we see him doing a lot of things and making a lot of decisions that kind of force him to reflect on himself, which he actually thinks, I'm becoming just like my father, but at the same time he's still fighting that fact that he is literally like Ghost.
Just as good or maybe even better, but they can't showcase it because they have to deal with institutional racism.
Where the was this insight before the meeting, buddy?
So this was one of the exclusive clips that was released earlier in the week, and some of you may remember my character breakdown for Tariq and how I mentioned how the boardroom is a lot like the streets, except you're against men in suits with contracts rather than men in hoodies with a gun to your face just like in the streets. So this is one of those battles where I believe Tariq will have to prove he is who he says he is. Wherever he goes, trouble definitely follows, but Tariq is a very smart and cunning young man. I wouldn't be surprised if he withheld this information from Lucas Weston on purpose, because he definitely felt used, but RSJ definitely gave him some great advice. Use them as much as they're using you. I also do think he aspires to the wealth and power of someone like RSJ, but regardless, his internship is now going to be on the line and he needs to work some magic, so let's see if he's good enough to sway RSJ, especially considering we know how good Ghost was in the boardroom. Now, in terms of their business, no cap, all frap, business will be booming as they start to see the sales coming through. But what this will also do is increase the price of Crash Coin, and sooner or later this is going to cause a problem because Lucas Weston is definitely going to catch on. Someone else who might have caused a problem is the Russians. Just because they've got rid of the main connect, it doesn't mean you've got rid of the problem. How do you know there's not going to be someone else who's the worst kind of leader than the old one? And they definitely will want revenge as well. So when this gun deal goes left, could this be an attack from the Russians? And again, at the funeral scene, which is something we saw in the trailer, which I don't expect to see in episode 4, but possibly a build up with them setting the foundation of what's to come. So again, that's just something to keep in the back of our minds. But that's a preview of episode 4, an episode which will no doubt be another fast-paced episode with a lot of talking points. But arguably the biggest talking point is, what will Diana and Monet's plan be? How will they plan to take down Detective Whitman, and will they succeed? I'm also intrigued to see a potential relationship develop between Tariq and RSJ, so that's also something to keep an eye on, because one of the main differences between Tariq and his father is them in the boardroom. With Effie and Kane, this is also another relationship that we may see develop. Maybe not in a romantic way, but in terms of business, because I don't think Effie is feeling Kane the way he is for her. But drop all your thoughts and predictions down below for all things episode 4, but as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.